So the first question is actually this has come from a lot of teachers and non-profits who are working with children. That after the pandemic, children have lost the habit of sitting in a place. So it's becoming very difficult to engage with them when they're coming back to the classroom. Are there any ideas on how mindfulness can be used to help children get back to the rhythm of a classroom?
So, actually, my take on this question is that we are not responding to the child at all. We are always with our own fixed ideas of what a child should be doing. And if the child is not doing that, then we'll use all kinds of practices to make them do it. So, now the latest one is mindfulness. Before that, we used to shout, scream, beat. But finally, what ends up being is that the child has to do what the adult decides to be done. That is the is, is the space that I feel needs to be changed. Why don't we respond to the movement of the child, the children? Why don't we, redesign the spaces that children are using? Why do we have to make them sit in one place? Why don't we think out of the box? Why are we still inside these rooms? So if we are using mindfulness as a practice to make them do what we want them to do, I think it's totally wrong.
So I think just connecting to what Meenakshi has shared already, uh, that is what we have also sensed in our classrooms also, that students are basically, because their attention is like all over the place right now, so they are like constantly either fidgeting with something, or they'll just talk a lot. So I think what we have tried doing is just doing some of the fun games. I think these are the 5 sentences, count from 5 to 1, or maybe just clap and then breathe in and breathe out. At times it becomes difficult, but then most of the time I think, rather than in rather than basically forcing them to do something, let's just do something which they love doing. So I think that is what will help. And through games, I think that is what we have tried into the classroom and has helped. Let's just do it into the classrooms. So yeah.
The other thing that perhaps, I don't know, but what we do, we practice at Puvidham is we hand over the responsibility of taking class to them. So we kind of involve them in the discussion of, okay, right. So how was your experience? Where have you been? What is bothering you? Because definitely something is bothering them. As long as something keeps bothering them, any amount of mindfulness is not going to help, because it's going to be on the surface. The work has to be done much deeper. So what we really need to do is listen to the children. Ask them what their worries are. Ask them what is bothering them. Ask them how we could help them. Ask them and tell them that, look, this is what needs to be done. And this is not something that I have designed. This has been designed by the system. So are you willing to cooperate, and can we do this together? I think when we give them the power to say no, we actually end up having their support.
Thank you. There is another question that has come from the pre-session survey. Is related to the first question, that many of us are working with children who have been diagnosed with conditions like ADD. Are there any ideas that we can use to deal with such children to help them better?
So what has helped children, because we get in Puvidham kids who have been diagnosed with ADHD, ADD, dyslexia, all the works. What we have found helps is take off the pressure, one. Secondly, involve them in physical activity, in martial arts, in sweeping, in arranging the books, in taking care of, maintaining the computers. So give them this kind of work which needs a little bit of responsibility and focus. So it makes them feel purposeful, and it helps them to, it is mindfulness, right? But it's not mindfulness in a academic kind of a way. It is mindfulness which is going to help them to carry their own lives out properly. So this is what we have been practicing.
I think in our spaces also, what we have tried doing is, one is the clap thing which we do, and then it becomes like we are not doing it for one particular group. So what we usually try doing is, even if we notice that there is one student or two students or many students in the classroom who have entered the spectrum, so we try doing the activity for everyone, so that everyone does it at the same time and the inclusion happens. So clapping at one, breathe in, breathe out, settle down. And then also there are some deals, short deals, which I usually do with my students. So it's like giving them the agency. So say for example, what I do is, when I do a clap, they breathe in and breathe out, and at the same time, at the starting of the classroom, starting of the class, I share what is my agenda is. And I share, there is one student who constantly wanted to like go to the washroom. Okay. And it used to be like every 15 minutes. And if I don't allow that student to go to the washroom, then it will be running around the classroom every time, and that person will not listen to you. Then what I try doing is giving the person agency, that let's decide mutually. You sit for 15 minutes, I leave you for 2 minutes, again you come back for 15 minutes, then I leave you for 2 minutes. So that is how the habit became, so that there is some sort of listening part which is happening. I am listening to that student, and at the same time the student gets to make that decision for themselves. So if it requires that 2 minutes, I'm not going to now go to any other space. I want to color. 2 minutes for you, you do what you want to do. So I think that is how mindfulness has actually helped the student, so that I am here in the present moment focus. I know what I want to do. In that moment, I want to color. I just want to paint on the wall. Let's just do that. So yeah, so that is something has worked with one example which I wanted to share, which has worked beautifully into the classroom.
How do we do this for children who are attending board exams? Are there some activities that can help them focus on their lessons?
Oh my God. Let us first help them focus on themselves. Why are we taking mindfulness to the lessons? I mean, this is so disturbing. You come up to mindfulness and then you discard it. Because mindfulness is for the self, it's not for the lessons. Once the mindfulness comes into the self, once the child is able to understand itself, is able to feel and able to express, then the child will decide whether it wants to be paying attention to the lesson or not. And when the child wants to pay attention to the lesson, nobody can stop the child. So I think this thing is very disturbing for me, at least, that we're focusing on the lesson. We need to focus on the child.
One more question: how we use mindfulness for classroom management, especially to deal with impulsive children when it disrupts learning for the others in the class?
Yeah. So what we do is we just look at the child with awe. Hey, wow, what are you doing? So yeah, great, good. Are you done? And then shall we proceed? We take the permission of the child and then we proceed. And we also ask if anybody else wants to do something impulsive, because there's nothing wrong with being impulsive. Impulsiveness is what gives direction to our intuition. So we build that as a skill. And most of the time, these children are doing these kind of things because they want attention. We just give them the attention, it goes away. That's my experience.
Yes. I think giving them attention is something which we have tried doing, because that is what they want. They're just saying didi 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 because they want to just take attention. Yeah. So they'll do it continuously in and around you. They'll just run around so that they feel attentive. So I think just giving them attention and doing it with everyone, I would say, then it doesn't become about that student. It becomes about everyone, and then the ground rules also, that if this happens, then we are going to do this. Then there are logical consequences which are introduced into the classroom, that if we do this after there are three warnings which I give. After three warnings, I usually, so one class which I had and they were so enthusiastic about football. So what I did was, I tried making the cards in the football, which you get a yellow card, you get a red card. So I tried doing that for the students. So then once they know that it's a red card, they have to sit out and they have to do something which is expected to do with them. So they'll just draw something, they'll write down their feelings or any. So that is what I've tried, because then it matches up to something which they know already. They have a cue to it. So yeah, just doing some classroom management techniques would really help out here.